Hello, and thank you for watching this video about behavioral adaptations. In this video, I will go over adaptations in general, as well as specific behavioral adaptations that include courtship rituals, cooperative behavior, and cyclic behaviors such as circadian rhythm, hibernation, and migration. Adaptations are something that are Adaptations are hopefully not a new concept to you. In previous lessons and units, you have learned how adaptations are characteristics of living things that allow them to survive and reproduce in their environment. We have mostly talked about structural adaptations. Structural adaptations are physical features of an organism, part of its body that helps it survive where it lives. For example, here I have a caribou, also known as a reindeer. Caribou live in the very cold tundra, and they have many structural adaptations that help them to survive there, such as short tails and ears to prevent heat loss, a double coat that keeps them warm and dry, a special chamber in their nose to warm the cold air before it enters their lungs, hooves that prevent them from sinking into snow or wet ground and also help them paddle through water, and bacteria in their gut that helps them digest lichen, an organism that grows on rocks and trees, which may be the only thing available to eat. There is also behavioral adaptations of organisms. A behavioral adaptation is something that an organism does to survive, a behavior, not part of its body. The behavioral adaptation of the caribou is that it migrates during the winter, traveling from one place to another. Let's go over types of behavioral adaptations. A behavioral adaptation is an action or behavior performed by an organism that helps it to survive and reproduce in its environment. There are lots of things that certain organisms do that give them an advantage. For example, spiders build webs that give them somewhere to live and gives them a way to catch their food. Some organisms, like bats, use echolocation. They send out sound waves and listen for the echo from objects that bounce the sound waves back. This allows bats to know where their food is, even if they can't see it. Some organisms also engage in courtship rituals, which are behaviors that males and females of some species engage in before mating. This leads to mating, which produces offspring to carry on the species. One example is the penguin. Male penguins will look for the prettiest pebble they can find and present it to a female. If the female likes the pebble, they will become partners and mate. Many species of penguins mate for life, only with each other until they die. There are also many behavioral adaptations that organisms have that benefit a group. Many organisms live with other organisms so they can help and protect one another. They live in a society, which is a group of animals that live cooperatively, helping each other. Cooperative behavior is an action by an individual animal that benefits the whole group. For example, meerkat societies have an individual who will watch out for predators while the other meerkats sleep. If they discover a predator, they will yell out or make a noise that will alert everyone else that they need to go hide or prepare for a predator. One specific type of behavioral adaptation that we're going to focus on are cyclic behaviors. Cyclic behaviors are behaviors that occur in regular patterns or cycles. The word cyclic comes from the word cycle. They usually change over the course of a day or a season. There are three types that we will learn about, which are circadian rhythm, hibernation, and migration. You're probably already familiar with the last two. Circadian rhythm is one type of cyclic behavior. Circadian rhythm is a behavior cycle that occurs over the period of about one day. Can you think of a behavior cycle for you that repeats every 24 hours? What I'm thinking of is something that every animal has to do every day: sleep. All animals need rest every single day, and we usually have a certain rhythm. The best thing for our bodies is to go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning. This helps our circadian rhythms, our internal clocks, to stay consistent. Two very important cues that regulate circadian rhythms are temperature and light. If we have light streaming through our curtains in the morning, that's a cue to our body that it's time to wake up. When it gets dark outside and when we shut off the lights inside, that is a cue to our body that it is time to wind down and go to sleep. Cooler temperatures at night also help our bodies wind down for sleep. Some organisms are actually awake at night and sleep during the day, such as bats, hamsters, and scorpions. We say that these organisms are nocturnal. Their circadian rhythms are opposite of ours. Hibernation is another type of cyclic behavior that occurs in cycles. When you hear the word hibernation, you may think of animals going to sleep for a long time during winter. Why do you think organisms do that? Well, let's think about it. All organisms need energy. Animals get energy from eating food. We need food in order to move around and for our bodies to function. In the winter months, where it is very cold, do you think there is plenty of food for animals to eat? Probably not. Food is more scarce in the winter. So since there is less food, some organisms spend extra time sleeping and resting so that they use less energy and don't need as much food to stay alive. Hibernation is a state of greatly reduced body activity that occurs during the winter when food is scarce. Many organisms hibernate when the weather is cold. Their body processes slow down, reducing their need for food. During hibernation, an animal's heart rate and breathing decreases, and their body temperature decreases, so their bodies use less energy. Some animals hibernate in groups to share warmth, and others hibernate alone or with their young. Some animals wake up every once in a while to eat, raise their body temperature, or go to the bathroom, and others will be in a deep sleep the entire time. Some hibernate for just a few days, and others hibernate for months. One of the animals we think of first when talking about hibernation is a bear. Here is a picture of a black bear. Bears will often go into hibernation during the winter months, but only in cold areas. They eat a lot and try to get nice and fat before going into hibernation so that their body has a lot of stored energy to use while it is not eating. Bears are actually very light hibernators, meaning that they wake up very easily if disturbed. So, be careful. Instead of hibernating in winter to conserve energy, other animals migrate to another location. When you hear the word migration or migrate, you may think of birds flying south to a warmer location for the winter. Migration is a regular seasonal journey of an animal from one place to another and back again, and there are a few reasons why they do this. Some animals migrate to escape cold weather that they would not be able to survive. Other animals migrate for better or more abundant food sources. Monarch butterflies actually migrate during the cold months too. Other animals migrate in order to reproduce. For example, salmon spend their early lives in rivers and then they swim out to sea. They spend years living and growing to maturity, and then they swim upstream to travel back to where they first hatched from their eggs in order to reproduce there. This is a long, difficult journey, and many salmon are unable to reach their final destination. Not only do they have to swim upstream, but they literally have to jump up waterfalls to continue their journey.